but today we're going to talk about sales tax. This is probably the most mundane and uninteresting topic. However, let me get my screen shared here and get the pictures over here so I can see some faces while I'm talking. Hopefully everybody can see my screen now. Can you see it, Kathleen? Everybody looks? Okay, good. All right, so we're going to talk about sales tax. This is pretty boring, a pretty mundane topic. However, it's something that we're all dealing with as retailers and folks doing transactions with the public. It's something you're required to do. So one of the key elements here from a retailer's or merchant's perspective is that sales tax is something that nobody sets out to do. Nobody starts a business and says, yes, I want to become a tax collector. But as soon as you open your doors and sell your first cup of coffee, or in Luke's case, a drink or a whiskey at his tasting room, you're required by the state to become a tax collector. And this is essentially the merchant performing a function for the state on behalf of the state to collect this tax, which is a transaction between the consumer and the state. This is not the merchant paying a tax or having a burden to pay a tax. It is the merchant being a money handler for the state. And this poses problems for merchants because you end up accumulating funds that don't belong to you in your bank account. So in your bank account, you have the tax that you might be collecting, as well as the profits from your business accumulating there. And this becomes an attractive nuisance or a moral hazard with respect to potentially not having those funds when it's time to remit to the state. So we've seen businesses go out of business for this. In the state of Florida, for instance, they will actually arrest you if you're 90 days out of your sales tax. In the state of New York, your license gets suspended. So there are various punishments, and at the very minimum, these monies are penalized, or these late payments or short payments are penalized, and significant interest rates are charged. So these are very expensive loans to take from the state.
Peter, this is Greg. You can add Maine to that list of places you can go to jail, because I have dealt with a few people that have.
Yeah, there you go. So it's definitely been the case. In fact, down across from our office in Westbrook, we have a little deli, and one day the guys from the office went down to the deli to get some sandwiches, and there was chains wrapped around the door handles and a big yellow sticker on the window saying the place had been closed down because of sales tax delinquency. And of course, we've seen stuff in the papers recently and so forth. So this is a real issue. It's actually an existential issue for businesses. And this is a burden placed upon businesses that gives them no strategic benefit and no pleasure. If you started your business to be in the hospitality business, or serving coffee, or making that perfect cupcake, this is not what you set out to do. So what does Davo do? So Davo essentially our goal at Davo is to make sales tax transparent for the merchant, so that you don't have to worry about it anymore. You can focus on the stuff that you need to worry about to keep your business alive. Obviously, being a business owner, it's a hard enough job to begin with. To have this additional burden on your plate is something that we want to help with. So how do we do this? We actually we integrate with your point of sale system. So we watch the transactions go through your point of sale system as you are collecting the sales tax. We set aside sales tax from your account into a holding account on a daily basis. So it's lots of small bites instead of one big bite at the end of the quarter or at the end of the month. We then automate the filing and the payment of the taxes with the state. And this is ultimately a set it and forget it solution for merchants. Once you're configured and set up with Davo, you don't have to worry about sales tax. You get a daily email from us saying, hey, yesterday you did such and such amount of sales, and we're setting aside so-and-so amount of sales tax for you. And then at the end of the period, you get an email from us saying, here is your tax return. It's been filed successfully and paid. And in some states across the nation, you actually get a discount for filing on time, not in Maine. We capture that discount for the merchant, and often that will pay for or in excess of our service fees. So that's fundamentally what we do and how we do it. One way to think about this is if you think about how you do your payroll, pretty much nobody accumulates their own payroll taxes and then remits those directly. You have a service, ADP or Paychecks or Gusto or one of these new ones, and that service accumulates this obligation between the merchant and the government, and then remits and files the necessary paperwork on time for you, kind of in a seamless way. This is exactly parallel to that, except this is, instead of for income tax, this is for sales tax. So this is what we're doing. Just how does this work? In a nutshell, this slide kind of encapsulates the mechanisms by which we accomplish this. So we've integrated with a number of point of sales you see on the left-hand side of the screen. We've got a lot of the big ones, the Squares and the Clovers and the Toasts. A number of them are restaurant specific. So Toast and Upserve and Revel are restaurant specific. We have Lightspeed and Heartland, both of which have a restaurant version and a retail version, and PAR is an enterprise level point of sale used in large chains. And so we do these API integrations with their servers. We watch the transactions happen as they're happening. So as you sell that cup of coffee and charge 23 cents of tax on that cup of coffee, we see that happened. We see that the sale happened, and we see that the tax was charged. And then the following day, and our system in the middle here captures that information. It captures the records of each of these transactions. And then on a daily basis, we reach in and set aside funds from your bank account into a holding account. And these funds are set aside and kept safe and kept separate from your funds. So when the merchants look at their bank account, they see that the money in the bank account is their money and isn't mixed and intertwingled with money that belongs to the state. And then whenever, depending on the state and the size of the business, when the filing is required, we will actually execute the filing with the state, provide whatever reporting information the state requires, and then we remit directly from the holding account to the state. And the merchant just gets an email with proof of filing and that the entire transaction is complete with the state. So this is essentially how the system works. It's all cloud-based. It works all in the over the internet. And again, very low touch once it's configured and set up to get started. So we have a number of businesses in Maine who are using our service. Some of which who have been with us for a long time and have been enjoying these benefits. And we do this, but we do this, provide this service across the U.S. So our biggest state penetration is in California, and Texas, and Florida. These are our biggest states, and we are filing for thousands of customers each month and each quarter, and we do tens of millions of dollars of tax through our system on a quarterly basis. So this has become quite scalable, and we've been scaling the business all from Westbrook, Maine, and our team there, and we're excited to be enjoying growth, even through the COVID period here, where a number of our constituent businesses have been stressed. In fact, I'll take a moment to discuss that for a second, because we've been able to help our member businesses navigate this COVID space as they've been in situations with super tight cash flows. All right, so in a situation where the business has been reduced or impacted by COVID, to have this particular aspect taken care of and not worry that the money is in your bank account when it's time to remit has been significant. In fact, of our businesses, I think 94% have submitted their taxes in full and on time throughout COVID. So this has been something that we're happy to be helping folks with as we all try to navigate this craziness.
Peter,
yes,
this
go
is
ahead,
Greg
Greg.
again.
Yeah.
Can you, I don't know if you can, but if you can you speak to the lodging industry? Because we do have some lodging members on the call.
Yeah. So we do have the ability to do various lodging taxes and so forth as well. We are not integrated with lodging specific point of sales at this point, but are evaluating them. Oftentimes we will perform this function for an associated restaurant if it's a separate corporate entity and filing separately. we'll be doing that there. Or if someone is using one of the point of sales that we do support, Clover or Square, have some lodging functionality that are add-ons to those platforms as well. So, but we are evaluating and would love feedback from your membership about what the most interesting point of sale systems for us to work with would be. We do have a program for bringing on board new point of sale systems, and we'd be happy to keep going down that road with input from your membership. So right now, about 60% of our businesses are in the food service sector. So we have everything from quick serve to sit down restaurants, and so that's a concentration of business for us in food service. Right. So the other thing that I think that we like to talk about is the pretty much unanimous satisfaction from our customers once this thing has been in place for a while. Folks feel that this is something that they can't live without, and that's super rewarding for us as we're offering this service to hear that. In fact, we had this company Toast. I'm not sure if folks are familiar with it, but this is a point of sale for the restaurant business. It's a big business down in Massachusetts. They're getting a lot of attention, and they're growing like mad. They came knocking on our door because they felt that they needed to have our functionality in order to be an effective competitor in the marketplace with against some of the other platforms that we are integrated with. So that's super rewarding, and I think it speaks to the level of satisfaction that customers have with this. Again, really working to make sure that folks have this thorn in the side task that they have to take care of is not something that they have to worry about going forward. So here are a few testimonials from some folks, including Luke, who's on the call, and I'm gonna turn it over to him in a couple seconds here, and we can hear from him how he's felt it's impacted his business. Yeah, so again, more reviews here. This is just people, more satisfaction reviews here. But again, we get pretty good reviews across the internet, and that's really rewarding. And it speaks really also to our great team. We have a great team of folks who are on the phones and available via chat to help solve problems and help navigate getting it configured and set up. And then as things go on, if people have questions, we're there for them for figuring out the sales tax burden. Final thing is that this is not an expensive service. So if we look at this on a monthly basis, it's about $40 a month, and no contract, so you can dip in and dip out as you need, as you want to try it. And we estimate that this essentially replaces probably about $100 to $150 worth of bookkeeper or accountant services on a monthly basis. So this is a direct savings in terms of effort and human effort that otherwise would be put towards this task. So that's how the economics work on it, and we try to keep it really lightweight. We're really looking to build something that's seamless and understandable and easy for folks to adopt. And so if I could just take a step back for a second and think about this. If you think about sales tax and the way it works and where it comes from, it feels, to us like this is a kind of an archaic mechanism, right? This is a mechanism for the state to collect taxes on sales, which is a perfectly reasonable thing for them to tax. But in the day when most transactions were done with cash, it makes sense that the merchant would have to put their hands on the state's money because the state couldn't put an agent by every cash register to take a nickel out of the dollar as it goes by. It just isn't practical. So it makes sense that the merchant is mandated to take this burden and to collect these taxes and to accumulate them in their accounts and then to remit them periodically with reporting to the state. However, in this day and age where 90+% of transactions are done electronically and growing, the practicality of that is diminished, and it doesn't make sense really for the merchant to have to put their hands on the state's money at all, in a sense, right? So why wouldn't it be the case that when the transaction happens, the state gets the state's money, the merchant gets the merchant's money, and never the twain shall meet? In fact, the merchant shouldn't even have to carry a liability account on their balance sheet for sales tax. So we're not there yet, but we're on that path, and that's really the path that Davo is working to forge. And these are the first steps down the path, and we're really excited to be doing this from the state of Maine, and happy to be enjoying some momentum nationally with our offerings. So super excited to be here, and happy to answer any questions. But before we dive into questions, Luke and I are old buddies, and we've been through a few adventures together. And Luke's here also to talk about. He's been using Davo now for the past year, a little bit more than a year or so.
Yeah, a year and a half at least. Yeah, for sure.
And he can tell you from the sort of merchant's perspective how it feels and how it works. Thanks, Luke. Go ahead.
I mean, it was an easy. Pete asked me to talk because you've been using it, and we were, I think, early entrant to it, and it's an easy thing to talk about. Honestly, it's an absolute no-brainer in so many ways. And to Pete's point, it's taxing. Collecting taxes is not something that anybody thought it would be fun, or even that was on their radar. So it's once you realize that how the system works, it's gone. I mean, in other words, you don't have to do anything once it's set up. And even that's easy. The onboarding is as easy as anything. It literally is a zero effort engagement. And once you're in, it's such a salvation. And to Pete's point, even just the filing, the work and effort that it takes to file the taxes normally is gone. It's all gone. And I have a great example, actually. Prior to this, we had a huge event here. And it created a great deal of revenue for us, which was great, but it also created a huge tax burden. And in the fray of paying off our vendors and just working that huge event through, at the end of it, we had a massive tax obligation that we did not anticipate, let's say, or just wasn't on the radar. And we owed a great deal of money to the state. And it was a scary couple months while we worked through it. Having Davo at the time would have solved that. And we've been very fortunate recently to have good sales. And we have never had a concern about making sure that we can pay the state. It literally just, every day they take a small amount out, whatever your taxes were for the day. So it is in small bites, as Pete said. It's one of the easiest ways to have money brought out of your account. You don't even know it's happening. And it's such a small amount comparatively to the monthly till. It's super easy. I mean, honestly, it's a total no-brainer.
And you get a daily email, Luke, of your
Right.
previous day's sales, right? So for a number of our merchants, they like the email as much as anything, because somebody's telling them how much business they did yesterday.
Right.
In the morning they wake up, it's in their mailbox, and bing.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's a very transparent system as well. It literally every day, as Pete said, you get an email. It tells you your sales for the day and your tax obligation, and that it's taken the money out. It's easily tracked and observed. And then again, at the end of the month, you just get an email saying that your taxes have been filed, followed up by an email from the state confirming it, and it's over. And truly painless. And it is, honestly, particularly for us, where we did endeavor, little bits every day add up, as we all know. And when you see a massive tax obligation that you don't have the money for, it can be really scary, because as you pointed out, Greg, they can come at you pretty hard and fast. So this takes away all of that problem. And never again do I want to be in that position, and we won't have to be with Davo. So
yeah, thanks, Luke. That's awesome. And I think the point it underscores, and this is why I got into technology. In the old days, when we have so many technology situations that seem to cut both ways with Facebook and social media and so forth, and are they good or are they bad, and for humanity and so forth, and that's a whole discussion in of itself. But for me, one of the things I love about Davo is this is truly a situation where technology is taking a not a very interesting task for humans to have to do, which is manage this amount of money and manage the filing and get the information gathered and so forth. And it's totally taking it out of the human's hands and allowing the computer to do this grunt work that's not helpful for your business, not helpful for your life, and gives no pleasure, and making it seamless and transparent. So this is really what we're up to at Davo and how we're trying to help things out. So I think we have a few minutes, Kathleen, left for some conversation. I know we're trying to wrap up in a half an hour, so I thought we'd open the floor and see if anybody had any questions or wanted to chat about anything.
Yes, that's great. And people can also use the chat function if you want to put a question in there. And as people are thinking of questions, I had a question in Luke. What were you using before Davo at Maine Craft Distilling?
You know, basically we have a bookkeeper who was using QuickBooks to tally, you know, we have Square and we would do reporting and basically just generate a report on our taxes. And it was actually very labor intensive because you have to go through all of your sales and you know, verify everything and, you know, do the reporting and send in the check. So to Pete's point, truly, we've, you know, our office manager is, that piece of his life is no longer a problem. And it adds up. Time, energy, you know, stress, the whole thing is gone. So we just use traditional bookkeeping, you know, prior to that.
We think of our biggest competitor as the bookkeeper, right? So we are looking to take a task off of the bookkeeper's plate, and sometimes you might think the bookkeeper would be upset about that because they're losing billable hours, but we found that bookkeepers do not think that sales tax is strategic or helpful or interesting, and they're often it's commoditized, and there's a lot of pressure for them to do it cheaper and cheaper, and so so they're happy to find ways to get it off of their plate in most cases.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And how can people sign up?
Yeah, so pretty straightforward. So if you have a Square or Clover device, they have app stores built into the system. So you can go to the app store on Square and the app marketplace, I think it's called, in Clover, and just search Davo, and you'll see it. If you go on Clover, you'll see we're a banner at the top. We're one of the highly recommended apps on their platform, so you can check that out. Any of the other ones, you can, in fact, any of them, you can always go to davosalestax.com. That's davosalestax.com, and then navigate from there to your point of sale page, and then there's instructions there on how to get started. Super easy. You can usually, in most cases, not all of these platforms support it, but most of them will support instant boarding, so you can just board yourself without any fuss, and get the program started. And I think, Kathleen, we're offering a special for your membership for the first quarter of this year, and we're essentially offering the first quarter of filing and tax set aside without charge, and then as a way to essentially try to help folks get through the COVID time without an additional charge on their scope. So that's a special offer if you sign up in the next month. If you sign up this month, we'll file January for you and set aside January in arrears. We'll go back to the beginning of January and get it all caught up. If you sign up to next month, we can do that for February as well and go forward through the March filing.
Thank you. And we also have a deal for people who are here with us today, which is Amanda still on?
Amanda's on. You want to talk about that, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, I think Pete just laid it out. So if anyone wants to email me, my email's in the chat, or just Amanda@Davo Sales Tax, and I can get you in the right hands, and you can try it for free until the end of April. It's a long time, very far away. You know, just kind of hoping that would get people through these like darker, colder months, and in April, hopefully, we're looking at a whole new world with
Roaring 20s.
The Roaring 20s.
Exactly. Begin in June. Yeah.
Or as Pete says, the global Roaring 20s. It's going to be everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
deal, guys. I recommend it. I really do. I'm not just because I'm pals with Pete. It's, I mean, if you could get this thing set up for free for a couple, 3 months, you won't even know. You'll see instantly how useful it is. It's truly, it's a no-brainer. I know I keep saying that, but it actually is.
Thank you. I think that means a lot coming from you, and great presentation. Does anyone have any other lingering questions? Or if not, this is going to be recorded and I'm going to share it with the membership
Super.
if you missed the beginning. And we're going to have more of these Allied cafes in February. So
I would be curious what POSs people are using. I think it's different in different regions. So I don't know if Greg or Kathleen or the people on the call have any insight as to kind of what are Mainers using. I know a lot of really small businesses are using Square, but Tim, are you using Square? That was a big nod. Yep.
A lot of people are using Toast as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good presence here in Maine from Toast. I would say, I know there's somebody down there that's muted that I won't call out, but I know that their property management system is Room Master, and there are several lodging properties in the state that use that. So that would be a good one to put on your PMS list.
Okay.
Good to know.
Room Master, huh?
Room Master.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. Yeah, we're looking at how to approach the more of the hotels and bed and breakfast kind of platforms, and so trying to, we want to navigate that in a smart way. So we're trying to find the ones that are the most popular and have the appropriate APIs set up so that we can just dive right in and get that set up. And we can usually do that fairly quickly once we identify that and have the marketing channels to get the program out there. So happy to.
On the small people, Heartland and Square are going to get you kind of most of the way, because in the lodging industry, it's 99%, or maybe 99.5% credit card.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, who gets a room with cash anymore?
If you do, it's suspicious.
That would be weird.
Great. Well, Kathleen, thanks so much. Did you have anything more, Amanda?
Well, I was just going to throw in another. I own a very small winery in Portland, and I'm also a client of Davo's, and I, like Luke, will never go back. Again, we're super small and scrappy, so everything I earn, I'm investing back in the business to try and grow. And once a quarter, getting a bill for thousands of dollars that I wasn't planning on, and I got into a pinch myself. So I think it's a more regular problem than we all think it is.
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Well, Kathleen, thanks so much for having us at the cafe here. We're happy to have been invited. And if anybody has any questions, I think Amanda at DavoSalesTax.com is a good first stop. And again, if you want to access that Hospitality Maine special that we're offering, then email Amanda at DavoSalesTax.com, and we can get started. And in fact, if you don't even hear from her, you can go ahead and get started, and we'll fix you up with the deal after the fact. If you want to just try it out, just go ahead and plug it in. There's an automatic 30-day free trial, and if you get in touch with Amanda after you sign up, then we'll wire you in for the extra 2 months as well.
Thank you, Peter,
Great.
Luke, and Amanda, and thank you everyone for joining.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks,
Good
Kathleen.
day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye now.